My husband flew our whole family to his wedding with a 26-year-old in Greece. On the way, he texted me, "Clear out, Fossil. When we come back, I want you and your old furniture gone." So I honored his wish. When they returned, they found an empty lot, a locked storage unit, and a sheriff's notice with my signature on it. I watched from my car sipping iced coffee while their mouths fell open. You want to know how a 63-year-old grandma turned a cheating husband, a gold-digging bride, and two spoiled adult kids into cautionary tales? Stick around, and in the comments, tell me where you're listening from while I pour this tea.
I'm Gloria Ramirez, 63 years old, grandmother of 3, baker of killer cinnamon rolls, and, according to my ex-husband, an outdated model with too many miles on the odometer. Charming, right? It was a bright Monday afternoon when the airport shuttle dropped them at what used to be our driveway. Leon, my husband of 35 years, stepped out first in his linen wedding suit. New hair, new plugs, new wife on his arm. Her name is Skylar, 26, influencer. You know the type. Ring light in one hand, phone in the other, no concept of volume control. Behind them tumbled my son Dylan and my daughter Marina, both in matching #NewBeginnings t-shirts, like they were on a reality show instead of inside a betrayal. They were laughing until they looked up. No house. No 2-story brick colonial, no porch swing, no blue shutters, no stupid bronze eagle Leon had bolted over the garage. Just level ground, fresh gravel, and a large sign. Future site of Ramirez Community Garden and Learning Center. Underneath, Project Director G. Ramirez. The laughter died so fast you could hear the gravel crunch under their shoes. Leon's suitcase slipped from his hand. What is this?" he croaked. Skylar clutched his arm, wearing designer wedges on loose rock. Brilliant choice. "Baby, where's the house with the big kitchen and the pool you showed me on Zillow?" Dylan spun in a circle. "This has to be a mistake. I mean, we were just here." I was parked across the street in my little blue Corolla, icy on, iced coffee in the cup holder, watching from behind sunglasses like it was my own personal movie premiere. My phone buzzed. A text from my attorney, Rosa Velasquez. "Demo completed. Title transfer recorded. He's got nothing. Enjoy the performance." I took a long sip and smiled.
6 months earlier, I was still Mrs. Leon Ramirez, devoted wife, retired nurse, unpaid secretary for his contracting business, and the only person in that family who knew how to log into the bank accounts. Also, apparently, I was invisible. I found out about Skylar the way any modern grandmother does, through a notification on my phone. Marina had posted a story. A rooftop bar, fairy lights, cocktails, and my 59-year-old husband in the background trying to dance with a girl young enough to be his intern. The caption, "Dad's client meeting." I zoomed in, and there she was, Skylar, with her platinum ponytail, glass of champagne, and hand casually resting on his chest like she'd paid for it. I confronted him that night in the kitchen. "Who is she?" I asked, holding out the phone. Leon didn't even bother lying. That's how I knew I was in trouble. "He makes me feel alive, Glow," he said, using the nickname he only pulled out when he wanted something. "You don't get it. I've worked my whole life. I deserve to be happy." "You mean you deserve a girlfriend who doesn't remember cassette tapes?" He smirked. "You said it, not me." A month later, he announced his plan like he was pitching a vacation, not detonating a family. "I'm taking everyone to Greece," he said on Sunday dinner. "We'll rent a villa. We'll celebrate a new chapter." Our anniversary? I asked, hopeful for about half a second. Our wedding, he said. Your what? He glanced at Dylan and Marina for backup. They both looked at their plates. Dad's getting remarried, Mom. You always said you wanted him to be happy. I remembered wanting to throw the mashed potatoes at his head. Apparently, happiness required me to be removed from the equation. I waited for Leon to say he was joking. He didn't. Instead, he said, "We'll finalize the divorce when we get back. The lawyer will send you whatever you need to sign. You'll be taken care of." Taken care of. Like a pet. Then, the night before they flew out, I got the text, "Clear out, Fossil. When we come back, I want you and your old furniture gone. I'm done with antiques. I work hard. I deserve a new life." He must have thought he texted that to Skylar. He sent it to his wife. I sat there at the kitchen table, phone in my hand, heart beating too fast. Then I did something I hadn't done in 40 years of marriage. I laughed, because suddenly everything snapped into focus. Leon thought I was some helpless relic who'd cling to him for survival. He'd forgotten the tiny detail that I'd built his entire successful life, spreadsheet by spreadsheet, signature by signature. And I'd already started quietly moving pieces 3 years earlier, the first time I smelled unfamiliar perfume on his work shirt.
3 years before the Greek fiasco, I walked into Rosa Velasquez's office with a shoebox full of paperwork and a smile so calm it scared even me. Rosa and I went to high school together. She became a lawyer. I became a nurse. We reconnected at a funeral where she cornered me by the potato salad and whispered, "You know he's cheating, right?" I pretended I didn't. I went home and washed his shirt and found a hotel receipt in the pocket for a place I'd never stayed. The next day, I booked an appointment with her. Rosa flipped through my shoebox. Tax returns, mortgage papers, business contracts, pay stubs. "Gloria," she said after about 20 minutes, "I've done ugly divorces for 30 years. I need you to understand something very clearly." I braced myself. "You," she said, tapping the papers, "are the wealthy one." I blinked. "Leon owns the company." "No," she said, "Leon runs jobs for the company. A company that, by the way, is registered in your name because he didn't want creditors chasing him in the early years." She pulled out a document and turned it toward me. "Owner, Gloria-M-Ramirez." I stared at it like I was seeing my own name for the first time. "He loves telling people he built Ramirez Remodeling, but every loan, every permit, every contract went through you. The house, bought with your inheritance. The joint accounts, funded mostly by your paycheck until retirement and the business profits you reinvested." "So what does that mean?" I asked. "It means," she said, leaning back, "that if he ever tries to dump you and walk away with half, he's in for a very educational surprise." We made a plan. Nothing dramatic. Not yet. First, we refinanced the house to remove his name, paying off the old mortgage with business profits. Then we updated the will and set up a charitable trust, the Ramirez Community Fund, naming me as sole trustee. Then we did something Leon never in his life managed to do. We saved. Quietly. Aggressively. Over 3 years, while he was busy playing successful businessman in golf shirts and going on conferences, I bought the empty lot behind our house, a small abandoned warehouse, and a rundown duplex across town, all in the name of the Ramirez Community Fund. When I found that "clear out fossil" text, I didn't cry. I opened Rosa's number and hit call. "Phase 2?" she asked. "Phase 2, I said.
While they were boarding their flight to Athens, I was at the county office signing the last demolition permit. Rosa stood beside me, reading every line. The clerk, a young guy with tired eyes, glanced at the papers. "You're knocking the whole house down?" he asked. "Yes," I said. "Time for something new." He shrugged. "We get a lot of that lately. People want open concept." "Oh, honey," I thought, "you have no idea how open this concept is." By the time Leon and his entourage landed in Greece and started posting sun-drenched selfies with captions like "Second chances, #forever young," I had sold the house to the Ramirez Community Fund for a legally binding, properly documented price, scheduled demolition for the week before their return, moved everything I cared about into storage and then into my new condo, and transferred Leon's company credit card into a separate account under review for misuse of business funds. I left him the essentials: 1 suitcase of clothes, his tools, his collection of novelty golf balls that said things like "King of the Course." The rest, donated, sold, or tossed. Every so often, I'd open social media and check their posts. There was one of all 4 of them at a long table, wine glasses raised, the Aegean Sea behind them. Skylar's caption: "Here's to cutting out toxic people and building a new family." She'd tagged everyone except me. I took a screenshot and saved it in a folder titled Exhibits. Old habits die hard.
Back to the empty lot. Leon stormed right up to the big project sign and tried to yank it out of the ground. It didn't budge. "That's my house," he shouted, voice cracking. "You can't just tear down my house." "The one you told me to clear out of?" I whispered to myself. Skylar was near tears. "Leon, I posted our home reveal for next week," she said. "Brands sent us stuff, furniture, appliances. Where am I supposed to film my moving in vlog? This is not the content they're paying for." Dylan looked at his phone. Dad, the group chat is freaking out. Aunt Rosa just sent us a link to some legal document." I almost choked on my iced coffee. Rosa, subtle as ever. Leon snatched the phone, stared at the screen, then turned a color somewhere between tomato and chalk. "What does it say, baby?" Skylar asked, peering over his shoulder. He didn't answer. That was my cue. I stepped out of my car and walked across the street. "Good afternoon," I said. "Jet lag treating you okay?" All 4 heads snapped toward me. "Mom," Marina gasped, lowering her suitcase, "please don't tell me this is some kind of fundraiser prank." Leon's mouth hung open. "Gloria, what did you do?" "I followed instructions," I said. "You texted me to clear out and make sure the old furniture was gone when you came back. So I cleared out thoroughly." Dylan pointed at the sign. "Is this legal?" "Very," I said. "Would you like the short version or the long, educational one?" Leon stomped toward me. "You can't just sell our home while I'm overseas. I'll sue you. "Leon," I said calmly, "do you remember whose name is on the original deed from 1989, the year my grandmother died and left me that inheritance you used as a down payment?" He stopped. Skylar blinked. "Wait. You said this was your house from your successful remodeling empire." "Oh, he does have an empire. He just forgot who the emperor is." I pulled a folder from my bag and showed them a copy of the deed. Original owner, Gloria M. Ramirez. Co-owner, none. "I added your name later, Leon," I said, "as a gesture. That gesture has now been legally reversed due to, how did you phrase it in your vows to Skylar? Irreconcilable vibes?" He stared at his younger wife, then at the paper. Dylan raked a hand through his hair.
"What about my old room?" he demanded. "Where am I supposed to stay while I figure things out now?" "Your room is wherever you pay rent, a very exciting adult concept." I could see Marina filming, even though she thought she was being subtle. "Hi to your followers," I said, looking directly at her phone. "Make sure you get my good side." She fumbled and shoved it into her pocket.
Skylar stomped one sparkling sandal into the gravel. "This is abuse," she declared. "You can't just kick us out. I'm family now." I tilted my head. "Are you?" I asked. Her face faltered. "We literally just got married." "In Greece," I said. "Yeah," she shot back. "On a cliff at sunset. It was very spiritual." "Did they have you sign anything at the consulate afterward?" Silence. "Any paperwork at all? Marriage license, registration?" She glanced at Leon. "Baby," she said slowly, "you took care of that part, right?" Leon swallowed. "There were language barriers," he muttered. "The lawyer said we could handle the civil part later. It's just a formality." "No," I said. "That formality is the part where it becomes real." I turned to Skylar. "Hate to break it to you, sweetheart, but what you had was a very expensive photo shoot with appetizers. Legally, you're his girlfriend. I'm still the wife." Skylar's face drained of color. "Oh, that's bad," Dylan whispered. Marina finally stopped pretending she wasn't filming. "Is that true, Dad?" she asked, voice trembling. Leon rounded on me. "You're enjoying this." "A little," I said. "Mostly I'm enjoying the fresh air in the absence of your ugly barbecue grill."
Leon tried to switch tactics. "Fine," he said, "keep the house. I'll just move into the lake property. I still have my company. I still have income. We'll be fine." I actually laughed. "Your company?" I repeated. Skylar folded her arms. "Yeah, Ramirez Remodeling. He told me he built it from nothing." "Oh, he did build it from nothing," I agreed. "But when he needed a line of credit, who signed? When he needed licenses, payroll, insurance, tax filings?" I pulled another document from the folder and handed it to Skylar. "Read the line that says owner out loud for the class." Her lips moved slowly. "Business owner Gloria M. Ramirez." She looked up, stunned. Leon's jaw clenched. "It's a family business. That's just paperwork." "Paperwork is the only part the IRS cares about," I said. "And as of last week, your employment with Ramirez Remodeling has been terminated." Marina gasped. "You fired Dad?" "No," I said. "The board did. And by board, I mean me and my very excellent accountant." Dylan looked horrified. "How's he supposed to live?" he asked. "As millions of people do every day," I said, "by getting a job." Skylar opened and closed her mouth. "Wait, you said you were retiring in 5 years. You promised we'd travel and I'd never have to worry about money again." I shrugged. In his defense, he's very consistent. He also promised that to me 35 years ago.
Dylan stepped closer, anger flickering in his eyes. "This is cruel," he said. "He made mistakes, okay? But he's still our father. You're punishing all of us because you're bitter." I felt the sting of those words and let them sit there for a beat. "Do you remember," I asked quietly, "who co-signed your third car loan after you crashed the first 2? He shifted. "You." "Who paid your college tuition twice?" "You," he muttered. "And who covered your rent for the last year because you were looking for the right opportunity?" He stared at the ground. "You." "And you, Marina," I said, turning to her, "who bought you that camera? Who paid for your content creation course? Who covered your health insurance?" Her eyes glittered. "You did." "Right,"
I said, "and when your father announced he was leaving me for someone younger, which side did you both pick?" No one responded. "Did either of you call to ask how I was once? Did either of you question going to his destination wedding while your mother sat at home alone?" Nothing but the sound of a distant lawnmower. Dylan tried again. "We start you were fine," he said, voice softer now. "You're always fine. You handle everything." "Well," I said, "you were right about one thing. I am fine. For the first time in decades, I'm fine with myself, my bank account, and my boundaries." I pulled out 2 small envelopes. "These," I said, handing one to each of them, "are the addresses and keys to storage units. One has your father's things. One has boxes with anything of yours that was still in the house and worth keeping." "What if we need money?" Dylan blurted. "Then," I said, "you get a job, or 3. You're welcome to apply at Ramirez Community Garden and Learning Center when we open. We pay fair wages. Nepotism, sadly, is no longer part of the benefits package." Skylar snorted before she caught herself. Leon shot her a look. "Whose side are you on?" she said, staring at the empty lot, then down to her shoes. "For the record," she said, "not the side without a house."
They shouted, they cried, they made threats. I recorded everything, waved politely, got in my car, and drove to my new condo downtown. For the next month, nothing. No calls, no texts, not even a passive-aggressive meme. Rosa kept me updated through legal channels. Leon tried to freeze the demolition. Too late, already done. He attempted to dispute the house sale. No luck, everything was properly notarized. He sent a letter claiming half the business. Rosa responded with a 40-page packet showing that the business predated our marriage, financially funded by my inheritance, and that his contributions were compensated through a generous salary. Then, one evening, my phone lit up with Marina's name. I let it ring twice before answering. "Hi, honey," I said. "How's real life?" Her voice was small. "Mom, can we talk?"
We met at a cafe near the hospital. She'd posted nothing for 3 days. Not alone, told me she was rattled. "Dad had a minor heart attack," she said, fingers curled around a paper cup. "They say he'll be okay, but he's different, quiet, scared." I wished I could say it didn't affect me. "Is he insured?" I asked. She shook her head. Apparently, his coverage ended when he got fired, and he ignored the COBRA letter. He thought that he'd land on his feet, I finished. He always does, on someone else's back. "Mom, the bills are insane," she said. "He's applying for charity care, but they said even with that, there'll be a lot left. Dylan's talking about crowdfunding, but his followers are mostly bots." Lovely. She took a deep breath. "Are you happy?" she asked suddenly. The question caught me off guard. I pictured my condo, the quiet mornings, the volunteer meetings for the community center, the little herb garden on my balcony, the way my phone stayed silent unless I invited noise. "Yes," I said, "I am." She nodded, eyes shiny. "I didn't realize how much you did," she said, "until no one was doing it. That's how invisible work works. You only notice it when it stops." "I'm not asking you to fix everything," she said, words rushing out now. I don't want to lose you. Not just because you have money, because you're you." I studied her face, the same face I kissed 1,000 times as a baby, now painted with careful makeup. "Do you want help or do you want partnership?" I asked. She frowned. "What's the difference?" "Help is me writing a check you never think about again. partnership is you showing up, working, learning, and being treated like an adult, not a dependent. What a partnership look like, she whispered. I slid a flyer across the table, a mock-up of the Ramirez Community Garden and Learning Center logo. We need someone to run social media, build a brand, tell real stories. You're good at that, when it's not just selfies. She picked up the flyer, fingers tracing the logo. You'd hire me? She asked. If you can handle the hours, and the fact that the only free stuff you'll get are tomatoes and literacy flyers. She laughed through her tears. I can live with that.
Just when I thought the drama was winding down, Rosa called me again. Frank got clever, she said, or tried to, anyway. Apparently, he dug up an old trust document, one my father had drawn up years ago when we were first married, back when I thought forever meant something. The Ramirez Family Trust, drafted in 1990, naming both of us as co-trustees holding a percentage of future real estate acquisitions. He was arguing that the house and some of my other properties technically belonged partly to that trust. Can he do that? I asked. Maybe, she said, if the judge feels generous. So what do we do? Rosa paused. We show the judge the whole picture, she said. Not just the sad story of a man sleeping in his car, but the 35-year record of you funding, building, and maintaining everything while he vibed. We spent weeks preparing. Financial statements, tax returns, text messages, screenshots, video of his clear out fossil message, social media posts from Greece. At the hearing, Leon shuffled in wearing an ill-fitting suit and a worn expression. Skylar wasn't with him. Marina sat behind me. Dylan hovered near the back as if he couldn't decide which side of the courtroom was less embarrassing. Leon's lawyer painted a picture of a hard-working man cruelly cut off from everything. Rosa painted a different picture, one with numbers, lots of them. Finally, the judge, a woman in her 70s with iron gray hair, looked over her glasses at Leon. Mr. Ramirez, she said, your wife built an estate worth 8 figures, largely from her inheritance and her business acumen. Leon blinked. 8 what? The judge continued. You contributed labor and, according to the documentation, a great deal of spending. You also diverted marital funds to support an extramarital relationship, and you sent your wife a text telling her to vacate the marital home while you remarried abroad. His face crumpled. The judge turned to me. Mrs. Ramirez, are you willing to offer any settlement? I stood. Yes, Your Honor. I'd like to offer my husband, soon-to-be ex, 1 year of health insurance through my business and a one-time payment of $30,000 to help him get back on his feet, on the condition that he signs away all claims to my properties, business, and trusts, and agrees not to harass or contact me outside of matters involving our children or grandchildren. Leon swallowed. And if I don't sign? He asked. Rosa slid another folder forward. Then we proceed with criminal charges for misusing business funds, she said, and you leave here with less than you came with. He signed. The judge stamped the papers. Just like that, 35 years of marriage became a file in a cabinet.
6 months later, I was standing in the middle of the former empty lot, now buzzing with volunteers. Raised beds, kids painting murals, a little library box shaped like a tiny house. Ramirez Community Garden and Learning Center was open. Marina darted between rows, filming kids picking tomatoes, editing clips on the fly. Her first video about the center went viral, not because of drama, but because people love seeing something grow. Dylan, well, he took longer. He called one day, voice tentative. Mom, I got a job, real one, construction crew, starting at 6 a.m. I like it. It's hard, but it's honest. I'm proud of you, I said, and I meant it. Leon? He rents a small apartment across town, teaches basic carpentry at the community college, and walks with a bit of a limp after his heart scare. We're not friends. We're not enemies. We're 2 people who shared a life and then went separate ways. One finally looking up, the other still staring at what he lost.
Sometimes the grandkids ask why Abuelo doesn't live in the big house I told them about in stories. I tell them the truth, the kid version. He made some choices that knocked the house down, I say, so Nana planted a garden instead.
If you're still here, you deserve a cookie, or at least a moral. Here it is. Leon thought my value expired when my hair went gray and my waistline went soft. He thought I'd cling to him because age made me desperate. He forgot something important. Women like me don't expire. We marinate. We get richer, tougher, and a lot harder to chew. He tried to push me out of my own story to make space for a younger, shinier character. Instead, I pushed him out of the house and rewrote the ending. If this story kept you listening, tap that like button so more people find it. And hit subscribe if you want more long, plot-twisty tales from a grandma who is absolutely done with being taken for granted. Drop a comment and tell me where you're tuning in from. And tell me this. Have you ever watched someone underestimate you and then realize their mistake way too late? Remember, you're not too old, you're not too late. You're just in the part of the story where you realized you were the main character the whole time.